Okay, welcome back to another pick a card reading. So we're gonna be taking a look at your next life adventure, kind of what changes are gonna be happening, and sort of the journeys you're gonna be going on next. Is what I had in mind for this reading. So there's 5 piles to choose from, so you can go ahead and choose your pile. I have a few things to say, so you can feel free to listen or just skip to your pile. Either way, but I just wanted to kind of say thank you because the last video that I posted, I posted that video on my birthday, so I was just kind of surprised how well it did, and it was kind of a really nice indirect birthday gift to receive all the really nice comments that you guys left. So thank you for that. That was really great. And Along with that, since it was recently my birthday, I got a couple new tarot decks, or oracle decks, really. So I kind of wanted to just take a little bit of time to show those off, just because I was really excited to get them. So if you do any sort of tarot or oracle, um, then and you like sort of like oracle recommendations, then feel free to kind of just check these out. So there's the Outdoors Oracle. I've been looking at this for a while, and I think this is like a really creative and like unique deck. It's like split into like 6 different categories. You have the Adventurer, the Gatherer, Angler, Hunter, Survivalist, and the Mariner. And comes with this cute little guidebook. And I didn't realize it would be kind of fitting with the sort of green theme that I usually go with. Comes with like a little map of a part of Oregon. It's like inspired by the Pacific Northwest. I do live there, not in Oregon though. So there's that, and then I also really liked the like kind of brown and green design on the back. I'm a fan of it, and I think these are really nice cards too. So just kind of show you kind of simple art on them, but I really like them, so I just kind of wanted to show those. It's definitely kind of uh, an oracle deck I recommend. It also comes with this dice too, which I'm not going to be using right now, but I think that's cool. And then the other one is this little Lenormand deck. It's a pocket edition, and I'm obsessed with pocket oracle decks, the mini ones. They're so cute. And I really love this one too because of the just the design on it, obviously. It's got like this little front card, and then you got these. This is kind of how it looks. I just really like them. I think they're really nice. So again, if you like wanted any sort of little recommendations, those are there. Those are my recommendations for sure. So happy I got these. And with that being said, and it comes with this little amulet too if you pay for it. Just don't get tricked like I did because I thought I was going to get more than one amulet and I was going to use them for the readings. But to get the little star amulet, that's pretty cool. I like it. Anyways, go ahead and choose whichever mushroom card you're most drawn to. That's the other thing too. Uh, I got a couple of comments that people like the mushroom theme, so that's great to hear since some of the cards that I got for my birthday were mushroom themed. So, continuing with the mushroom theme, but yeah, go ahead and choose your pile and we'll get into your reading. Alright, pile 1, welcome to your reading. So, let's see, what's your next life adventure gonna look like? So, this is the mushroom card that you chose, and I don't know. I don't know if you feel the same way I do about them, but aren't they like just the most like alien looking plants? Are they considered plants? Well, like they're so alien looking. They stand out so much. Especially this one does. But let's see. So it says Violet Coral Community. Be unapologetically you. Seek out others like you and find your tribe. Okay, so I guess that's part of your next life adventure is finding a community, finding your soul tribe, finding people who are like you in some way. So that's really cool. And your outdoors oracle, we have poisoned, digesting a costly afflictions lesson. Okay, let me look for this one. So, with this reading, if you skip the beginning, these are like all new cards for me. So, I'm going to be referencing from the book a little bit more than in my other readings. But yeah, so you've got a Gatherer card. So, let me read the Gatherer to you. And this is not actually like, this is just associated with the Gatherer parts of the card, if that makes sense, or whatever. It's not necessarily about this poisoned card or meaning or whatever, but the Gatherer merit symbolizes learning from your surroundings and collecting knowledge. Gatherers are information driven intellects who enjoy piecing together the inner workings of the world around them. Though they are collectors, they are generous and gracious in sharing their abundance. They view themselves as part of the natural world and feel at home in the outdoors. To gatherers, nature is a source of endless lessons. So obviously some of you, this is like the outdoors oracle, so some of you might like to go outside a lot, some of you may not, but regardless, I feel like there's something here about obviously being very thoughtful, intellectual, and kind of like soaking up information from your surroundings, whether that's outdoors or indoors, or like the people around you as well. So your virtues are open-minded, intellectual, and curious, and flaws can be a know-it-all. So let's see with the poisoned. Okay. So it has a date in here, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know, maybe, so it says September 21st. Maybe for you guys, your next life adventure, because September's pretty close. It's like 2 months away, right? Yeah. So maybe something happens in September for you guys, but there's a name here. Hold on. Toxicor Toxicoscordian venos venenosum. That's its name. If I pronounce that right. Commonly known as death chemas. Hopefully I pronounce that right too. It's that plant that keeps sorry. It's that plant that we keep sorry. Let me say this again. It's that plant we keep seeing on our walks in the wetlands that you asked about. Don't eat it, don't touch it, don't even look at it. At most, maybe draw it to remember. I once licked one when I was a kid and nearly died. You learn from your mistakes, though, that's for sure. Or in your case, I'm happy to let you learn from mine. Okay. Interesting. So something that's kind of poisonous around you, maybe. So it's interesting. You have community and then this poisoned energy. So maybe part of your next life adventure is, along with being kind of a part of a community in some way and finding your tribe, there may be like a few poison apples, I guess, or something along the way. Um, there may be a temptation that's coming your way and you're being kind of asked to, don't eat it, don't touch it, don't even look at it. There could be something around you that uh, you feel the need to avoid coming into your next adventure. So let's see what else you have. So you have the monarch butterfly, digest your past, and then the your Lenormand card. So this is interesting. I kind of before I started your reading, I looked at this card specifically because I felt like sometimes I'm a good reader, sometimes I'm a really bad reader, to be honest, and I didn't want to have to be reading from the book the whole reading, so I did kind of look at this one before starting the reading just so I have an idea. And that was really interesting. So I will end up actually reading part from the book, actually, but you have the bouquet and the child. And I thought it was interesting because you have the child. So I want to read you part of the book for this card. So that card, it's a butterfly, so it's all about transformation, change. Some things that it says here, it says, you too have metaphoric imaginal discs, patterns embedded in your deep in your psyche that help you know who you are. Um, So yeah, it's about kind of like looking at your past experiences and kind of using past experiences as like tools for your future. The sort of things that you learned from your past experiences and kind of like almost like recycling past experiences to um, create a new future for yourself. This is kind of about um, going on a new journey. Says, nourish your body and spirit, take time and space alone, release what no longer serves, and grow new wings. And then what I thought was interesting here, related to the child coming out in Lenormand, says, think back to your largest life transition, perhaps having a child, moving to a new house, going through a divorce, and see how you worked through all these stages of transformation. How can you traverse your next change with grace? So that's interesting. I don't know, since it mentions child, like if any of you were wanting a child, maybe that is part of your next life adventure. But for those of you who are not wanting children, then it would just be like some sort of new beginning for you, a big sort of transformation. And we have the bouquet here, so you could be getting a sort of like surprise gift from someone. You could be feeling more beautiful. Definitely this sort of like butterfly energy, like starting off as a caterpillar, then going through that transformation and becoming like a beautiful butterfly. Maybe it's like you feel like more beautiful, like more attractive. Um, yeah, like a, they always say glow up. And yeah, it could be that you're feeling a lot more pleasure in life and maybe receiving a lot more confidence, but compliments is what I was gonna say. And kind of, I really think that there's this balance here because we have poisoned, and this is kind of talking about something that you should avoid because it's toxic, right? And we have this child energy, which is very innocent and I would say very pure. So I think you guys are very pure souls, pure people, and I think there's something. I think the poison card really comes as a warning, especially if you are in a place where you're meeting new people, coming into like a new sort of community or soul tribe or something like that, to just protect your energy, protect your pureness, your innocence, and don't get involved with people who are toxic. And I think you'll have a good sort of awareness of that. So it's just going to be kind of like filtering out who's right for you and who's not, who belongs in your tribe and who doesn't, because you get to decide that. And then yeah, this is definitely, it's a lot about transformation and a new start, and I think it involves finding, again, maybe a group of friends, people who are like you, your tribe, and then maybe it's like through community with the bouquet. There is kind of a somewhat romantic vibe coming from the bouquet. So it could be that if you're single, if you're looking for love, maybe involving yourself in communities can help you meet more people and maybe meet someone who's gonna fancy you. So I could see that coming your way as well. And yeah, I think it could also be a sort of purifying your own energy from any toxicity, too. It could be part of your new adventure, especially with this sort of like transformation energy from the butterfly. Removing any sort of toxic traits that you might have, or removing any sort of toxic people in your life, or just like being careful about the places you go, the people you surround yourself, and the sort of like things you consume. Not necessarily like food wise, but like material or like media. Um, Maybe looking more at positive things rather than anything that's like negative, because this is something that I do too, where I could get sucked into like sometimes I like watching those like police videos where they're like pulling over some drunk person that crashed at night and they have like no clue what's going on. And like it can be kind of, it's dramatic. It's like, whoa, what the heck happened here? And it's very like attention grabbing. But then you can watch a lot of those sort of videos, and it, to me at least, like I can feel myself falling into like feeling negatively because I'm watching these and like literally wanting to fight the people in the videos because I think they're acting crazy and ridiculous. And it's like, I don't need to be feeling like that all the time. It can be fun, but it's like watch out for those things is coming through too. So that's like, I guess, a little bit of advice at the end of your reading, but that's like your new adventure in life. I guess I'll end it here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like those messages. And that's it. Bye. All right, pile two. Welcome to your reading. So here's the mushroom that you chose. And let's see. It's the fairy ink cap subtlety. Learn to notice the subtleties around you. Slow. Whoa! No way. That's actually really cool. Okay. I'll tell you why in a second. So it's, yeah, slow down and be mindful. The reason why I kind of freaked out there was because, so I let pile one know. So these are all new cards for me. It was recently my birthday. So I got some new cards, and so I will be kind of like needing to reference the book for these cards. So I kind of let pile one know that, and I didn't want to like waste too much of your time by like looking into the book and trying to read from the book and stuff. So I did want to look at this card specifically before I started the reading. Something interesting happened in pile one, and just now it's now interesting for yours too because you got the common tortoise steady on, and it literally was just talking about slowing down, taking your time, being mindful of, the space around you. But hold on, let's look at this card. We have river, following an authentic thought, and so that's the angler in the deck, and I'm going to read what the angler is about. Okay, so the angler merit symbolizes contemplation and patient reflection. Look at that. Anglers are deep thinkers, cautious of change. They contemplate their choices carefully before making decisions. They dread confrontation and tend to be reserved, preferring to ponder things in calm, quiet environments. They are patient by nature and don't mind waiting if it leads to a reward. To anglers, nature is a place to think. So their virtues are patient, reflective, and stoic. And then their flaws could be second guessing themselves. So that's interesting. I feel like kind of part of your next life adventure, especially if you don't resonate with necessarily always having a lot of patience, is kind of like learning patience. Because it kind of comes out in all of these cards. So it's like this card here, the river card with the angler merit, it seems as if by the end of this adventure or experience, you will be kind of a master of having patience. You will be considered a very patient person. If you do consider yourself a patient person, then I think that's just going to be really working in your favor when it comes to your next life adventure. Um, but yeah, let's read the river. Okay, I wonder if all of these have dates in them because again, this is like a new deck for me, so I haven't really looked through the guidebook a whole lot. But pile 1 got a date in September. You have December 9th as a date, so I wonder if these sort of things like this adventure will be like from now until like December this year or something like that. Maybe it's like by the end of this year you will have mastered patience, or something about your patience will bring you a lot of sort of good luck and good opportunities, it feels like. So the river, following an authentic thought, it says, I feel bad. It's like I've given something up. I took his offer, sold everything but the fishing cabin. At the same time, though, I guess it's a relief. I realized I had to take my own advice. Stop trying to fix what went wrong. It was a decent offer, anyways. Said he wanted to turn the old shop into a burger joint. Even offered me a job as a lead burger boy. I turned the job down. I think I'll be alright out at my little cabin. Want to sit and do some thinking about the future, maybe even go explore a little and find where those otters went off to. Sad to say, you're officially out of a job, but hey, I can finally pay you for your time at least. I know a guy who's looking for labor, and if you need a place to land, or looking for labor if you need a place to land, let's go fishing sometime. Okay, so that's what it says. So it does talk here about receiving good offers. Um, well, it says here there's a decent offer, and then maybe it leads to maybe something better. He turns the job down. Maybe you end up turning a job down that you don't feel is right for you. And then because you turned down a job that wasn't the right fit for you, you eventually do find the job that does fit for you. So, yeah, if you are looking for a job, maybe your next life adventure could be ending a job, not accepting a certain offer, and waiting for something better. That goes along pretty well with patience, right? So, I would say, like, maybe some advice here coming into your next adventure, especially when it comes to seeking out opportunities, is don't settle. Wait for the opportunity that really lights you up and makes you feel good and excited and like inspired. Um, Now, let's see. Your Lenormand cards. You have boat, which was really cool. And you have birds. Interesting. So, especially like, okay, now here's why I thought another sort of thing that kind of happened when I was looking into the common tortoise card, and you got boat here. So that boat talks about travel, so it's possible that you could be doing some traveling in your next adventure. Um, yeah, and so maybe it's literally traveling by boat since we do have boat and river, but it is, an outdoors sort of like reading. It doesn't have to necessarily be like traveling by water. You could be traveling in any sort of way. But now here's what's interesting because I got the Lenormand cards after I got some of my other cards. So after shuffling out this reading, I was like, okay, let's get a couple more cards and add some Lenormand cards. So that was interesting. You got the boat, and it says here in the common tortoise in the book, it says you didn't miss the boat simply because the first few decades have passed. So it's almost making me think of like you feel you missed an opportunity, but it may be that this opportunity re-emerges and you can like grab hold of it and take advantage and go on that trip or take that opportunity that you've been waiting for. So and there's definitely something here about like you're not too old. If you're coming to this reading and you feel that you're too old to be doing something, no, you're not. Make use of the time while you're here. It's never going to be wasted. Um, so yeah, it also says here, of course, like the tortoise, or yeah, talks about slowing your roll. What happens when you move more slowly? So it says, set the intention to take twice as long to eat a meal. Slow down your chewing and swallowing. Pause between bites. Put your fork down on occasion and breathe, noticing the world around you. How does it feel to move more slowly, to step into tortoise time? Notice all the various parts of your being. How does your stomach feel? How does your mind feel? How does time itself feel? So I feel like, yeah, it goes along with this, like, be mindful. You're going to be very mindful of, like, your body, maybe your health, the way your body feels, and, like, your surroundings. Uh, yeah, your surroundings. Um, Now, it also says here in the reflection, it says, how do you do with aloneness? Can you come together with others not from a place of need, but from the peace of your own center, contently balanced between your own earth and sky? Loneliness is the poverty of self, solitude is richness of self. So I think part of your journey, like your next life adventure and journey, is going to be learning how to be alone and not feel like you're lonely, like to really enjoy your solitude and your own company. And when you feel Like something I noticed when I went through some sort of like spiritual awakening when I was young. Um, it it's almost like I lost the ability to necessarily miss people. And it's not like I don't ever think back and like reminisce on like certain memories I've had with people, but I enjoy my own company. So it's not like every time I'm alone, I'm like desperate to be around someone or thinking about someone so heavily because I miss them and want their presence again. I very much enjoy my alone time and my solitude. And I think something that I noticed is, well, some people may not like that because in certain relationships and friendships, people can kind of expect a lot out of you and expect you to kind of always be there for them. And it is nice to be there for people, but like what it says here is like, can you come together with others not from a place of need, but from the peace of your own center? Because something I was recently talking about is that people can literally feel someone's like craving them. And a lot of the times, even like I considered myself to be kind of a needy person in the past. Um, Even like the neediest of people can feel suffocated by someone who expects too much of them or puts too much pressure on them or craves them all the time. And it could kind of give you this sort of idea that, like, along with someone really craving you and really needing you, they might be very emotional about you. And it can be, and I expressed this in a different reading, that um, when you feel like no matter what you do, like any sort of little thing you do, any little thing you say, any little thing you don't do affects someone so deeply and they care about it so deeply, then you start to wonder, like, am I right for this person? Am I bad for this person? Because it seems like no matter what I do, I always end up deeply upsetting this person, and I wasn't trying to. So keep those things in mind because it could be that if you do struggle with patience, and it can be like patience in relationships, it can really help you to be able to self soothe, have a lot more independence, have a lot more patience, and then really enjoy your solitude. When you're good on your own, it's like, that sort of like, it does feel like there's a lot less pressure on others around you, and they feel a lot more free to come towards you, if that makes sense. So, I think developing some patience, if you do struggle with that at all, is going to really help your relationships in life. It's going to help build trust within your relationships. And when you're good on your own as well as good around others, it kind of really creates a very beautiful sort of energy there within relationships. So the last card I guess we should talk about is the birds. And so that's about conversation and talking. So it could be that you're doing a lot of sort of talking with people, having a lot of conversations. Could even be with this sort of like travel energy that you're going to be, if some of you actually know you're going to be traveling, maybe traveling to different cultures and kind of exploring different cultures. Sounds really cool. So if you're doing that, that's really cool, and I'm a little jealous. But yeah, and then it can also kind of talk about rumors too. Um, so just be careful about that. Um, but yeah, overall, I think there could be like a trip coming your way, going on a trip somewhere. For some of you, it's actually like traveling by boat, traveling on the water. But then it's also a lot about learning to have patience, or I think, yeah, like what I said in the beginning, like if you already have a lot of patience, I think that's really going to work in your favor as far as like not settling for opportunities that you don't really want to take and waiting for the right opportunity. If it doesn't light you up, then maybe you don't want to really go in that direction and just kind of wait for something better to come along at some point. And I think that could really lead to a lot of great things in your life. I feel like for some of you, it can lead to better relationships. And then it literally talked about a job in the river card. So maybe some of you are going to be finding a new job, a better fit for you as well. So I hope that makes sense. That's your reading, pile 2. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Pile 3, welcome to your reading. Your pile, I was so excited when the mushroom card you got came out. So If you missed the beginning, I'm using all new cards today. I got a bunch of new decks, and so one of them is a mushroom deck. And I can already tell you what this is because this is like my favorite mushroom to eat. It's enoki mushrooms. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or ever tried them. Again, like I like mushrooms a lot. I think they're really good. And these ones are definitely my favorite. I love to fry these. So I feel like kind of one message to start with as far as your next life adventure could be like developing your food palette a little bit, trying some different food. I think this is a Japanese mushroom, so maybe it's like exploring other types of like cultures, cuisines, different types of food from different cultures. Also, lion's mane, by the way, another type of mushroom that I really like. I was lucky enough to find it in a local grocery store nearby. So yeah, enoki mushrooms, it says align. Who can you align with to help you achieve success and make positive changes? Yeah, so could be trying new food. It could also be maybe sorry, my video got interrupted a little bit. Um anyways, okay, moving on to your next card. You have Hunting Lodge. Enjoying a homestead's reward. Okay, and I'm gonna read from the book for this card. So that's a hunter card. Um, so we'll read the hunter merit. The hunter merit symbolizes present intentions and taking direct action. Hunters are focused and determined in stalking their objectives. They move through the world with clear goals and live purposeful and present lives. They are task-oriented, despise failure, and tend to be very situationally aware. To hunters, nature is a resource to manage and consume. So virtues are precise, deliberate, and aware. And then flaws could be tunnel vision. So that's interesting. I feel like so um, for all the piles, what I did was, since these are all new decks and I kind of need a little bit of help with these new decks, this card specifically, I did kind of look into before I started each pile, just because I didn't want to have to be taking too much time looking at books during this reading to explain your messages. But I could already tell you for some reason, I mean, with the hunter energy, like this intentions and taking direct action feels like kind of like a fiery energy. But then I also get through like kind of having a lot of like goals, being very focused, task oriented, despising failure, these kinds of things. It gives me a lot of sort of like Virgo energy, very like perfectionistic, determined, focused, and kind of like being very immersed in routines, it feels like. So let's look at Hunting Lodge. Okay, so yes, I think most of these cards come with a specific date. So, like pile 2, you got a date in December, and yours is December 31st. So, yeah, I kind of told Pile 2 that perhaps their adventure continues until the end of the year. Like, this is, like, once they get towards the end of the year, it's like they will have experienced this new life adventure, mastered certain things. And I think it's going to be similar for you. So maybe it's like this next life adventure carries on from kind of like now until the end of the year, perhaps. But yeah, so it says Pine Loop Lodge is quiet these days, but I like it that way. It used to be quiet. It used to be quite the destination. Walls lined with trophies, people coming from all over to hunt this area. We can trade meat to get out of this cold tonight. Um, the owner, Gus, keeps the lodge open year round. I think he enjoys the company. Made his money in lodging made his money in logging years ago, built the lodge, and now just sits in there. See him in there, see him there in the window. He sees us. He got in before the law did. This whole valley was littered with pine bark back then. Sorry, I'm not too great of a reader today. Um, he'll tell you all about it inside, and that's it. Um, so the vibe that I get from this this card is kind of like, it says Pine Loop Lodge is quiet these days, but I like it that way. And it used to be quite the destination. So I kind of feel as if maybe some of you resonate with being quite the party animal back in the day or in recent times. And maybe like this feels like like enjoyment of a peaceful energy around you. Like maybe it's like you felt more comfortable with a lot of kind of excitement happening around you, things always going on, meeting new people, maybe partying, or just wanting some sort of stimulation through any means, maybe even through drama or something like that. And it feels like you're coming into this new life journey or this new life adventure is like preferring a more quiet space, maybe. Preferring things to be more relaxed. It does make me think of like a party animal who's ready to finally settle down and kind of like calm down and, not necessarily like maybe you're gonna. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, this connects very well to this card here that you're going to see soon. But yeah, it's all about enjoying where you are and not necessarily needing to be anywhere else or needing extra stimulation, or it's like always like, I need more. What else can happen? And kind of just liking where you are without even much necessarily happening or going on. It feels very calm and peaceful. So, along with that, if you are used to being very social, like maybe you have a lot of friends, or like you do like to be around others and in other people's company, I don't think that these messages necessarily suggest being alone or anything like that. Like, especially if you do resonate with being a little bit crazy and wild and liking to have a lot of fun, and maybe you're coming to a place where it's okay to settle down. Maybe you spend more time at home and enjoy cooking at home rather than always going out. Um, and I really do feel like you're going to find a lot of enjoyment through that. Even surprisingly, if you felt like you never really wanted to cook food or something like that, or it's not really that interesting to you, or it seems like staying at home is boring. Maybe if you've felt that way in life, maybe that's going to be kind of changing for you, and then you're going to really enjoy your peace at home and quietness and stuff like that. But it does kind of say here that I think he enjoys the company, so it's why he keeps his lodge open year round. So I kind of feel like maybe part of your next life adventure could be keeping an open, like, door for people, like maybe your friends or your family. It's like enjoying time at home and maybe in more solitude than you're used to, but still welcoming other people into your space. So I want to like reassure you that this is not like you're gonna be alone in all this like peace and quiet and no one's gonna be around you. I actually feel like you might still be around like a lot of people, or have company around you, in case you were worried about that, by the way. Okay, so there's that. And yeah, so this card that you have here, appreciate the process, cow and bull. Now, some interesting things that kind of came up with that card was it was explaining like how cows and bulls chew their food and how they eat their food and the whole process of it. It is kind of a long process for them. Um, I think that's interesting when we had like the first talk about enoki mushrooms and maybe trying new foods, maybe exploring more with cooking at home rather than like eating out or ordering food or something like that. Maybe you're going to really start to enjoy the process of taking care of your body, taking care of yourself. Like again, I mean, with the cow and bull, it does definitely give like Taurus vibes, which to me, I always kind of associate Taurus with the senses. So yeah, like definitely taste, sense, or I mean scent, um, feeling, all the senses, like what you can see. But mostly in this case, I would say like taste. Maybe you're going to be exploring tasting new foods, cooking food, or taking care of your body in more subtle ways, or uh, putting more energy into that, enjoying the process of doing that. It's a very slow energy. So yeah, again, enjoying the slowness, enjoying the peacefulness, life calming down, and actually feeling comfortable with that. Where maybe previously you felt like you needed a lot of excitement, or maybe a lot of stimulation. Um, and it's kind of a feeling of being at home where you are and being comfortable in your body and where you are right now in life, and not necessarily feeling like you should be somewhere else or be ahead of where you are, and just being comfortable in silence, being comfortable in peace and quiet, these types of things. And let me just check the book just in case there's a couple things in here. I think there could be a lot of sort of appreciation for the things around you, the people around you, and wanting to express more gratitude in life. That could be something that you're going to be like, maybe it's going to be easier for you to express those things coming into your like near future. And it says here, at some point you got to let go and sit still and allow contentment to come to you. So exactly, it's like you don't have to go searching for contentment. You can just allow it to come to you. Kind of just like pay attention to your surroundings and ask yourself what you're grateful for right here and right now with what you have right now, not necessarily what you feel you want or what you feel you need. And yeah, it says, what are the obstacles to your contentment? Can you put these burdens down for a few moments of internal peace? And part of the reason, although like definitely cows and bulls make me think of Taurus, and it literally says Taurus in the book here, but it gives me a lot of Virgo energy where it says, hold on, let me find where it was. Yeah, so can you allow the world to be okay just as it is in this moment? This is a big task. A big task. Actually, it says this is a big ask. Okay. Our brains are hardwired to notice problems, which is great for staying alive in a complex world, but it makes it difficult to cultivate happiness. That's where I get Virgo energy. Let me tell you, I've got my North Node is in Virgo, so I know this energy quite well, and it's like I'm designed to notice problems. And I could be very picky and kind of always like critiquing things and figuring out how it could be better and perfect. And that's a great skill to have. Like, it definitely helps you improve yourself and grow in a lot of ways, but it can also kind of like steal your joy a little bit and make you feel like nothing is ever right, nothing is ever perfect, everything could always be better. And that's kind of the energy that I kind of get, where it's like maybe you've been in that energy where it's always seeking something better. And kind of feeling like you always need to be moving or doing something else or in some other type of experience than the experience you're currently having. And I think there's going to be like a comfort coming in where you feel like, no, it's okay if things are flawed. Nothing really needs to be perfect. And in this moment, I can just enjoy my life and not really care too much, not take things so seriously all the time. So let's take a look at your Lenormand. You have the Rider, and then you have Mice. Yeah, no, actually, Mice does fit pretty well with this energy. Like, sort of, sorry, yeah, relating it to Virgo energy, it makes it sound kind of negative, but there's a lot of really good things about it as long as you use the energy in the right way. With Mice, it's like something that can kind of bother you more and more over time. So be aware of those things. When you start to get into, oh, it shouldn't be this way, it should be a different way. And when you feel that and you feed into that, then maybe it gets even worse and you get even more sucked into that mindset where, yeah, of course, like things could be better, things could improve, but also it's nice to feel comfort where you are, and trust that, life is a process. And sometimes we need to go through certain experiences before we're ready for more. So I feel like there's going to be, again, like a sort of acceptance of where you are at this time. And you have the writer, so that could be some sort of like news. I do feel like part of your next life adventure could be visitors coming your way. There's like a sense of like enjoying people's company, although like things can be quite peaceful. It's interesting. I'm sure since this is a specific message, this is not for everyone, of course, but it's kind of like, um, this deck here is like the outdoors oracle. And it does make me get like, this whole topic of the reading, what's your next adventure? So maybe it's like adventurous people like to click on these types of readings and they like to go on adventures and do many things, and that definitely feels like your energy for sure. You like to do those things. Um, but I feel like for those of you, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, like people who are travelers. I've heard of like apps where they can find a place to stay for the night and just kind of keep traveling and keep going. And I don't know if like you've been interested in like opening up your space for like people to come stay. Again, very specific, and especially only if you're comfortable with doing that. Like maybe that's part of your next life adventure is like welcoming people to stay at your home, even like wanderers, travelers, something like that. Or maybe you're going to be doing that. I kind of don't feel like that since most of this energy feels very like calm and at home and like enjoying like peace and maybe not moving all the time, not going places all the time. But yeah, and then even in the outdoors oracle card that you got, the sort of like enjoying company, and at the end there in the description, kind of like talked about like someone who's going to tell you all about something. So yeah, there might be someone in your life who's wanting to approach you, come visit you, and kind of tell you all about some sort of adventure or like something. Definitely like it's interesting with this like writer energy, like wanderer, traveler. Yeah, like, man, I don't know. Maybe you are opening up your space for people to come by and stay the night or something. And it's like these are people you don't necessarily know, and they're going to tell you about their adventures, their stories. And maybe that's something you want to hear about and you want to connect with people on those things. Otherwise, in a less sort of like exciting way, I think it could be more like friends and family wanting to come by to come visit you and tell you how their life has been and stuff like that, like on a more mundane level. Like that could be part of what's going on in your future as far as like your next life adventure. So I think that's all I have for you, Pile 3. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed these messages, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Alright, pile 4, welcome to your reading. So here's your mushroom card. Let's see. So it's the hairy trumpet funnel. Reduce the clutter around you to make way for the new. Okay. Yes, so this is your next life adventure, and you have Lewis's woodpecker watching a clever critter's intelligence. So this is another gatherer card. So I'm going to be referencing from the book in this reading. So with the gatherer, let me tell you what that's about. And I think pile 1 also got a gatherer card. So the gatherer merit symbolizes learning from your surroundings and collecting knowledge. Gatherers are information-driven intellects who enjoy piecing together the inner workings of the world around them. Though they are collectors, they are generous and gracious in sharing their abundance. They view themselves as a part of the natural world and feel at home in the outdoors. To gatherers, nature is a source of endless lessons. So the virtues of the gatherer is open-minded, intellectual, and curious, and then the flaws is they can come across as a know-it-all. But yeah, so it's like you're going to be definitely learning a lot through your next adventure in life, kind of discovering things, and kind of maybe, going on some sort of like intellectual pursuit, trying to figure something out and soak up some sort of knowledge. But let's see with Lewis's woodpecker what that's about. Okay, so okay, actually this is cool. So far all of the cards, these cards specifically, comes with a specific date. And most of them have been, so like, they've been in the future basically. Pile 1 got September, and then pile 2 and 3 got December. So yours is actually kind of sooner. It's August 4th, so perhaps like something's happening around August for you. That's next month, so that's pretty soon. And maybe that's where your journey begins, or maybe it's like something significant happening in August. But yeah, you have August 4th, and it says, "Hi there." It was great chatting again. No worries about the jar. I lose things once in a blue moon, too. I'm going birding this weekend on the Alder Trail. Join me if you'd like. The woodpeckers are out and about this time of year, and they're quite a sight to see. Not sure if you've ever been. If you're interested in learning, I could show you a thing or two. So interesting, actually. Definitely, learning about something, and maybe it's through someone in your life, like a friend, um, probably something like that. But maybe, yeah, there could be someone coming in your next adventure, and they may kind of show you something new or teach you something new. So that's really cool. Um, that's nice. Let's see. So this card, we have Grow Your Truth, Black Snake. And so this card specifically, some things I'm going to talk about. Now, okay, and this is kind of an interesting topic for me. So maybe it will kind of relate to your reading, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll be interested in hearing about this too. So I'm kind of curious, like, what do you think about free will? Do you, I guess most people do believe in free will. I'm going to share kind of my perspective on it because this is something I've always questioned, especially since I became like more spiritual as a person and kind of watching tarot readings and seeing what people say about certain things and sort of like spiritual perspectives people have. So with free will, I always hear readers specifically, and I guess spiritual people say that we have free will. We are in control, like we can decide, right? Well, then that's a little bit confusing for me when readers will say like, "Oh, was meant to happen. It happened for a reason." And it's like, as an example, I don't know, maybe it's a sign that a certain animal was sitting outside of their window as they were doing the reading, and they're saying, "Yes, this was meant to happen. This is because you needed to hear this." So when we think about that, something needed to happen for you to experience it. So it's almost like, I don't know if free will works there. If that critter or that animal had to be outside of your window in order for you to see that sign and relay that message, and that was meant to happen, it was destined to happen, where did that animal have free will in that if they had to be there? So to me, it's very. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to get at, but like we talk about guidance and destiny and manifestation, and if those things are possible, it makes me wonder just how much free will we actually have. Not necessarily that it's necessarily like an illusion, but maybe it's a lot more limited than we think. And that's not to say that we aren't, necessarily in control of our lives. But it says here, let me find it. Yes, okay. Um, So, a few times a year, Snake will shed. During these times, a film protects her eyes, leaving her temporarily blind and vulnerable. Growth and change often make us feel this way too. Like Snake, you may need to nest when you're shedding. So with this, like what this makes me think of is this idea that I definitely have seen, and I do believe it's true, that a lot of the times people can accept kind of not great situations and kind of just deal with it. And they wouldn't try to change it or take action on it until it becomes too much for them to handle. So it needs to get a lot worse for them to kind of wake up and then decide, oh, okay, I need to change, right? It happens with like health conditions, like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not bothering me that much. Like, I can deal with it. It's fine. And then eventually the problem becomes like a lot worse. And then it freaks them out and they're like, okay, no, I need to do something now. So does that make sense? Like, yes, we have free will, but a lot of the times people need to go through certain experiences in order to really wake up and see that they need to make a change or do something differently, or something's not right, or they can't handle it anymore. They don't want to deal with it anymore. And it's like until these experiences are brought to them, they don't usually make those changes. And it makes us, well, at least it makes me think like, okay, well, we kind of think of free will as you can just do anything all willy-nilly anytime. But we are very heavily influenced by our past experiences. Not that we can't break free, but that, yeah, it does kind of limit us in some ways. So I don't know if that was just something that you kind of needed to hear. Maybe there's a situation in your life that could be a lot better, and maybe you've been kind of ignoring it because it's not that bad. But yeah, maybe there's something where you wake up to something and realize, no, this needs to change. I want to do something differently, something like that. Um, which I thought was interesting that I was thinking of this, where it says, um, what if Snake's forked tongue is not a sign of duplicity, but instead indicates an ability to speak and know multiple truths simultaneously? Um, what if Snake's secret is that nothing is as cut and dried as we would like it to be, but that multiple realities exist at once until the moment you choose, and your choice creates the reality to come? Can you see the many sides of a situation, giving each its due before making a decision? So I think you're going to be looking at things from many different perspectives, seeing where you want change to happen in your life, what sorts of things you believe, and I think this also goes along with sort of questioning your beliefs or the way you do things and kind of being open to other people's perspectives as well. So you have number 20, garden, and bones, number 8. Oh, and so there was one thing that I kind of missed. Let me get back in the book for a second. Kind of an additional sort of message for you, and maybe some of you might need to hear it. So it says here, Black Snake will sometimes den with the poisonous snakes like copperheads. Call on her if you need to slide smoothly through a poisonous situation. So like I said, maybe there's a situation around you that needs to improve, needs to change, or it's not the best situation to be in. I think there's a message coming through that those of you who relate to that and feel that you will be able to slide smoothly through the situation, no matter how rough it seems to be or poisonous it seems to be. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, so I think there's definitely something about people coming into your life that are going to assist you in some way. Maybe show you something new, open your perspectives up, and maybe even teach you something. Because the garden does talk about like community. like an event of some kind or a gathering. It could be that you're going to be going out, spending time with people, spending time with a community or a group of people. But I also feel like there could be someone, again, specifically who's meant to come in and kind of show you something new, to maybe shift your perspective and make you kind of wake up to something and change something in your life and make it better in some way. And now the bones kind of talks about an ending, being done with something. So I feel like it's going to be something where it's like, yeah, like a poisonous situation, a not so great situation, there will be an end because you finally step up to do something to change it. Because you realize, like, hey, this could get worse, or hey, just because it's not that bad doesn't mean I can't make it better, or doesn't mean I should accept the situation, even if it's really not that bad. You can have better, basically. And yeah, I feel like maybe there's something like sorts of questions that you have, a sort of answer you're looking for, or a solution. And I feel like you're going to be getting closer to that and maybe sort of solving some sort of questions that you've been having recently. And that could kind of come through community or people around you, a specific person coming in. So yeah, I think relationships are going to be important, and I think perspectives will be shifting, and through perspectives shifting, so will your life be shifting as well. And there, I feel like with the snake spirit, it kind of talks about both meanings of the snake being about healing, but also being about being like sly and secretive, or like maybe even a little bit deceptive. So I feel like there's going to be um, a chance to kind of look at both what makes you special and good, um, the areas you should feel confident, and like what you're good at, and then also looking at what could I improve, what could I do better. Even if it's maybe not that bad, you could still put a little effort in to make it a little bit better. So I don't know. I hope that those messages resonate with you and you enjoyed the messages. So thank you for watching and wishing you the best, pile 4. That's it from me. I'm going to move on to the next pile, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Okay, pile 5, welcome to your reading. So here's the mushroom card that you chose, and we're going to see what's your next life adventure going to be like. So you have the ghost mushroom. It says shine. Wait until the time is right and then shine as bright as you can. Okay, interesting. So let's see. And then you have pondweed, pondering a growing guilt. Okay. Now I'm going to read from the book for that card. So you got the angler. That's a new one in this reading. So let's see. Oh wait, no, that's not new. I think pile 2 or pile 3 got the angler. Anyways, the angler merit symbolizes contemplation and patient reflection. Anglers are deep thinkers, cautious of change, and they contemplate their choices carefully before making decisions. They dread confrontation and tend to be reserved, preferring to ponder things in calm, quiet environments. They are patient by nature and don't mind waiting if it leads to reward. To anglers, nature is a place to think. So the virtues are patient, reflective, and stoic, and flaws could be second-guessing yourself. It's interesting. We do have, in this case, yeah, it was pile 2 that got an angler card, because theirs was all about taking it slow and patience and stuff like that. Yours seems to be just a little bit similar with this, like, wait until the time is right. So I do feel like you're going to be, like, having some inner guidance, following your intuition, and kind of feeling out when the time is right to be doing something. And kind of, like, also, like, waiting for the opportunity. And I didn't do this with any of the other 4 piles, so yours is a little special. So there's the angler merit, and then you also have plants is a minor merit. So these are like an element, creature, quality, or characteristic. So you've got plant, and so that's a growing idea, which I guess fits pretty well with this like pondering a growing guilt. So I think that kind of fits pretty well. So with all of the piles, what I did was, since these are all new cards for me and I kind of need to reference the book, now I guess not necessarily the mushroom cards, but most of the other cards reference something to kind of get the meaning. I didn't want to spend too much time looking into books for the reading and like reading from books. So with this card specifically in each pile, I went ahead and kind of looked at the book before starting the reading. So yours says, align your inner compass. And what this common raven does talk about is kind of like, again, following your own inner guidance, doing what you want to do, not listening to other people, other influences, and kind of finding what's authentic for you, what's true to you. Um, and I will say, like, I guess I gave, was it pile three? Like, I felt a lot of sort of Virgo energy coming into that reading, and for yours specifically, feels very like hermit like. Kind of going inward and finding your own specific path, what you want to do. And something interesting that came, that was like kind of in the meaning of the common raven was, and I wonder if this is associated with the pondweed, this pondering a growing guilt, because it might be that in your next adventure, there may be a bit of self sacrifice, doing something that you really believe in and you really know is right in your heart, although it might not be what other people, they may not approve of it necessarily. Because, so the whole story of this common raven is that I guess he like falls in love, goes to this eagle's house, and like, this is like what would they call it? Okay, basically, this story is it says that the eagle's father had stole the sun, so it's like there's a bunch of, it's dark in the world and people are suffering, or animals are suffering, or the world is essentially suffering due to darkness. So although this raven has, is in love with this eagle, um, it's this sort of sacrifice because he sees the sun and he's like, no, the world deserves this sun. So I'm going to steal the sun. And basically, you know, uh, animals around him in this case are thinking like maybe he's selfish, he's stealing something that's bad, how dare you. So it could be that you're being like sort of ridiculed for some sort of choice you decide to make. Maybe you've already made this sort of choice and people around you are thinking you were bad for doing it or something like that, but it actually came through, although they don't see it, like a sense of selflessness. Like the bird sacrificed his love interest basically because now the father is going to hate him for stealing, but he did this because he realized that the world needs it. So it's some sort of sacrifice for the greater good that you're going to be doing. And I think although it might give you some trouble in the beginning and it might be like this pondering of growing guilt, like you might feel like you've done the wrong thing because of how people see you because of this, or um, yeah, there's a like sort of judgment coming your way for what you've done or what you're going to be doing, and it might make you feel like, oh, uh, should I feel guilty about this? Should I feel bad for doing this? Although maybe there was a hidden reason behind it that was quite selfless. Something like that. But people don't see that, so they don't, of course, they judge you for it. So that could be part of your next adventure. It's kind of mysterious and a little interesting, but I feel like you're meant to do this in some for some reason. It's like most people might not have done what you've done because they would have feared people's judgment. And especially with the common raven, it kind of like blocking out what everybody else thinks and doing what you feel is right, although it might not be what other people agree with. I feel like it's almost like I kind of talked about this in the last pile. This sort of like, we, a lot of the times readers will say we have free will. I'm not necessarily saying we don't. Um, I've kind of wondered if it's a bit of an illusion and that our free will is quite limited as actually, basically. And part of the reason I wonder that is because of sort of spiritual perspectives of like, well, I was meant to see this sign. I was meant to see this animal today to be a sign for me. And if we have that perspective, then we're basically saying this unseen force guided this animal to you because you needed that. And in some way, it's like there's this unseen force that is controlling the universe in some way. So do we have free will? I don't know. I kind of think about those things a lot. So that's kind of what it makes me think of, is that like in some way the universe is guiding you to this situation because you're there to help out. You would be the one who would actually do it. Maybe everybody else would be too afraid. So that's really cool, and I think you should feel very powerful, even if there are people around you that are judging you or disagreeing with you or something like that. Because I think something about this is like you're meant to do this. It's important, and I think it's going to be helpful. So yeah, and I'm sorry, it does seem to be kind of like a self-sacrifice because it seems like people are going to be, in some way, not seeing why you did what you did for like the true reason, if that makes sense. So your Lenormand cards, you have the tree and you have mountain. And so another little little like message from the book, not necessarily that I feel that's so tied into what I was just speaking about, but this might be just like kind of an extra message that some of you need to hear. It says, is there a situation or a person that you are seeing as fixed, but might actually be as mutable as raven's feathers? So maybe, there could be people around you feel judge you heavily, or maybe you think they're unwavering in their thoughts or their opinions, or they're not easily swayed or something like that. And maybe that's not necessarily true. Maybe these people are a lot more open to what you're doing, what you're thinking, or what you want to do than you actually think. um, so yeah, that's maybe just like kind of a supportive message that maybe, along with pondering a growing guilt, maybe it's easy for you to kind of feel guilty about things, even though maybe people are not actually thinking badly of you. So that's another message too. Maybe it's like people don't actually feel like negatively about you for what you've done. Maybe they do see the reason why you do what you do, even if it doesn't make sense on the surface. I hope that makes sense. Um, so yeah, you have the tree and the mountain. I am looking at these little guide cards for this because I have another Lenormand deck, but I don't play with them that much, so um, do need a little bit of a reference. Yeah, so I mean, the mountain does talk about some sort of obstacle, a delay, or a blockage. So I do feel like the obstacle seems to be what other people think of something that you want to do or something that you will end up doing. And there might be, for some of you, some harsh judgment coming your way in the beginning because they don't understand the reason why you did it. I think there might be another message here. I guess if you feel comfortable, if it feels right to kind of explain yourself, this is why I did it. I know on the surface it looks bad. Maybe it could be something like that. Or, it's some sort of sacrifice for some sort of higher good. So it does seem like the reason why you'd make a choice that you make is for a greater good. And that is important. And again, it feels very spiritual, like in some way you were guided to this situation in order to be the one who will do it. Because you are different, because you don't necessarily want to follow everybody else's way of doing things. They're not up for the task because they're doing what everybody else is. Or I don't know, there's something about you that has something special where it's like you need to be somewhere doing something, making a choice, or sacrificing something for the greater good. And I think it will benefit definitely the people around you, although, and I think it will eventually benefit you once people realize the reason you did something, or realize your intentions or something like that. And I think once people understand you, people will be on board and be very thankful for what you've done, is what I kind of get. So that's kind of the challenge, I think, in the mountain and the sort of delay, because it's like what you did is for good, even though people don't see it. Maybe at first, I think eventually people will realize, again, like your intentions, what you've done, and how good it is for the world around you. So yeah, and I think the tree kind of talks about stability. Let me find it again.
Yeah, health, well-being, growth, and ancestry. Um, so those things could be associated here, but I do feel like there's a certain like sturdiness to you. I feel like you're going to be growing as a person. I do feel like at some point you will be thanked for what you've done, even if, again, people don't necessarily see that at first and want to thank you for it at first. I do feel like there will be some gratitude coming your way for what you've done, who you've helped, and the sort of, good that you, sort of good choice that you will make. Again, people around you may not agree with it, and that's why it's important for you to kind of stick to what you think, what you know, and what's authentic to you. Because, again, there's some sort of quality that you have that's special and different from the people around you, which is why I think maybe you might be put into this situation. And I think the tree also symbolizes being strong enough to handle it, because maybe other people might not be strong enough to handle it, might not be strong enough to handle the judgment of people around them, or strong enough to handle people's like criticism and stuff like that. And being strong enough to go in your own direction despite what others might think of it. So I think that's really cool. I think your reading is the most sort of like mysterious and very interesting. And I feel like, I don't know, your pile seems to be very important. Like you are a very important person, and there's some very important thing that you're meant to do, and that's part of your next adventure. Um, One last thing I kind of want to do. Did I even look at the pondweed for your card or your reading? Hold on. Oh my gosh, I almost missed it. That's funny. Okay. And that's actually really funny too, because in here it says search for a missing girl called off. Huh. So a date that you have here is October 3rd. So maybe something happens around October 3rd, or maybe the sort of next life adventure comes to an end by October for you, since well, it's a little bit of ways away. It says after nearly 3 months. Is that 3 months away? Yeah, it's like 3 months away. Okay, that's really strange. So after nearly 3 months, the search for missing hiker Sadie Kun ended today. Yeah, so I feel like maybe from now until October, especially if you are watching this when this is posted, these readings are timeless. So, maybe the dates don't necessarily apply in the future. Maybe they do, depending. But definitely if you're watching this right now, that's kind of spooky, right? Your whole reading seems to be very mysterious. And maybe it's like from now into the next 3 months, so October, uh, this sort of adventure will have happened and maybe will have ended. You will have completed the mission. This definitely feels like you've been put on a mission, whether you're aware of it or not. But yeah, it's just Sheriff Nelson released a brief statement that the trail has gone cold. We sadly have no leads at this time. Her case will remain unsolved for now. Sadie's father, Douglas Kunn, posted a $50,000 reward for information leading to Sadie's safe return. Help wanted. Let's see, does this even... I don't know. I guess maybe this doesn't really matter, but I'll read it anyway. It says, help wanted, cashier with some fishing knowledge. Must be nice, hardworking, able to work weekends and work alone. Free fishing trips, gear, and experience pay to be discussed. Talk to Davy Crawford if interested, something like that. But anyway, it does talk about a job here, so I don't know. Maybe for some of you, sorry about that. There's a bit of interruptions today. But yeah, yeah, for some of you, maybe there's something about work here. Maybe this sort of choice happens at work. Maybe part of the message is that you end up finding a new job or something like that. But yeah, this sort of search for a missing girl called off. Like, I don't know, that does feel like a very important sort of mission, right? So I don't know. I think your next life adventure just involves this sort of mission that you're on. And I don't know if it's like very conscious. It seems like you're going to be put into a situation, and it's like you were the one who is meant for this situation because you have something specific and something special that can handle it and that will kind of make the right choice because everybody else might not see it and you're the one who would. I hope this makes sense. It might be just as mysterious for you as it is for me, but I hope that you enjoyed these messages. Thank you for watching Pile 5. I loved your reading. It was like the coolest one in my opinion. So I hope you liked it too. And yeah, I'll see you in the next reading. Bye.